The River Thames is normally an oasis of calm. But close to historic Hampton Court Palace, a battle is breaking out. And it's all about who owns a huge section of riverbank.
They are claiming the land because nobody owns the land.
Well, I call it a land grab.
A government agency is in effect claiming squatters' rights to become the registered owner of 1¼ miles of bank, which seems to be no man's land. But boat owners who've been living here for years without paying mooring fees are now digging in, ready to fight.
Took about 3 days, I suppose, to get the posts in.
One is a serving Met police officer.
I think it's bully boy tactics to some extent. Only the landowner can move me and there is no landowner.
And caught up in the middle of all this are homeowners who now want to protect their bit of the riverbank and are taking on the authorities as well.
We'd be very sorry to lose this.
Are you going to fight?
Absolutely.
You haven't got that rent problem, you haven't got that mortgage problem. You know, I had a small loan on the boat, that's all paid off, it's my boat now.
Steve Cross says he tied up his boat here on the riverbank near Molesey more than 12 years ago, and it's a cheap and relaxing way of living.
A much simpler life, I suppose, simpler life, and then you've got more me time, more pleasure time, and it's less stressful. Get the fire going, get a roast in the oven. That's enjoying life to me.
How much money do you think it costs you a week to live here?
Probably about 25 quid a week, something like that, I suppose. And you're not paying huge bills, you know, it's just great.
But soon his life could change, because some neighbours don't like the riverbank being used in this way.
I'm not saying these people are antisocial, but they attract antisocial boats.
David Garrett has watched this community develop. He owns a house by the river on the opposite bank.
If you want to live in one place on the river, you can pay for it. But to just take over a bit of public riverbank and say, well, we'll have that, is not right. Everybody else is paying a little bit to enjoy the river, and they don't. And I think it's wrong.
No one here pays mooring fees, because no one seems to own the land. But just downstream by Kingston Bridge, there are many boats that do pay.
3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. I love her.
And Mary says it's worth the money.
We pay mooring fees to the local council and it's £330 a month. It seems a fair exchange for a secure mooring.
But back upstream at Molesey, soon the free moorings may no longer be secure.
There's 2 kilometres of land that they are claiming in adverse possession. I'm actually at the end of the wharf here. It says the Environment Agency and its predecessors have treated the land as its own for 20 years.
The Environment Agency has applied to take ownership of 1¼ miles of riverbank, saying it's looked after it for so long it should be the owner, a sort of squatter's right. But for people on the boats, and there's about 15 of them, that could mean a landlord who charges fees or even evicts them. So they're preparing for a battle.
I'm going to stick a lock on that at some point, yeah.
They say a squatters advisory service has told them to fence off the land by their boats.
It's in objection, I suppose, to the EA's claim to the land, and they don't own the land. And I've been down here for so long, and I make use of this land, you know. I live here. It's my home.
A little further down the riverbank, some gates have gone up, and even a sign saying private. And David Garrett isn't happy about all this at all.
How can you fence off a public towpath? What right have you got to do it? Why don't we just have miles of rightful places to live for anybody who chooses to put their hand up? It's a nonsense.
So how did we end up in this day and age, having such a long stretch of land with no owner? This local historian thinks it was simply forgotten about.
The river itself has been obviously owned by a lot of different authorities. Originally the City of London up to 1857, the Thames Conservancy after them, right through to the Environment Agency now. They own the bed of the river itself. It's all been just automatically assumed that they actually own the towpath as well. But it seems that they haven't actually registered it with the land registry, and I think that assumption's just been made in passing it on from one authority to another. To me, it looks like an oversight.
The Environment Agency says it believes it is the landowner, and it's now waiting for a decision from the land registry.
The claim starts here, which is here, and it goes on downriver.
So what chance do the houseboat owners have? John Cox is an expert on property law.
The boat owners have obviously been maintaining the little bit of land in front of their boats. And I do think the Environment Agency will find it difficult to maintain their claim to those bits. You would think there was scope for a settlement.
Well, one of the people who thinks they do have a case is a police officer in the Met.
It is unusual for a policeman to be in this circumstance.
He's called Paul and has asked us to conceal his face because he served as a field intelligence officer.
It's my 16th year in the police now.
He says he lives on a boat to save money.
I'm probably about £800 to £1,000 a month better off by the time I've not paid for a mortgage or rent. The Environment Agency is fully aware that they don't own or use any of this land.
Why don't you move to a mooring where you pay?
There aren't any. There's no places for a boat this size to be kept on the Thames, either for rent or to buy, and I've spoken to people and I've looked.
You think you have a right to be here?
Absolutely, yeah. We seem to be acting well within our rights. I certainly wouldn't feel comfortable doing anything that was improper.
So it's not about getting land for free?
No, absolutely not. No, absolutely not. It's just about being able to live.
The Environment Agency says it aims to protect the public's right of navigation on every part of the Thames, so people can use all of the river. But its claim for ownership of this section of riverbank also includes a part overlooked by about 10 houses.
I think we're here, aren't we?
And some residents are objecting as well.
This came out of the blue, and they gave us just 3 weeks to reply.
John Smith and his wife Charmian say a few years ago they were told in writing that the Environment Agency did not own a patch of riverbank in front of their home.
The letter was quite explicit, really. It said the Environment Agency does not own the riverbank.
But in another letter sent earlier, the agency had apparently said it did own the land.
It seems to me that the Environment Agency are in total confusion.
Well, now the couple are determined to fight off the agency's latest claim.
What we're talking about is the land from this wall right down to the river itself. We cleared it all and made it nice. All the residents along here, you can see the houses there, we got together and had a meeting, and we all agreed that this was not on, that they were attempting to grab something which wasn't theirs.
What did you call it?
Well, I called it a land grab.
The Environment Agency says its application for land by the houses is in line with its role managing navigation and flood risk. There are people who are happy that something is being done about the riverbank owned by no one. But others, both on land and in boats, will fight this application. The Land Registry says objections have been made, but it can't make any further comment as to what will happen next.